Hello, I'm Alexis Hardy, and this is my video presentation. Obviously, with the world going on right now, we have many different changes going on, rules being put in place, different populations getting different changes. One big one that I personally relate to, and it reflects my friends and all this stuff, is banning transgender women from girls' sports. Obviously, a lot of people are seeing stuff in the media, on TikTok, and all these different things about what President Donald Trump is changing. But currently, in February 2025, President Trump signed an executive order banning transgender girls from participating in sports teams that align with their gender identity. Now, this decision was based on unfounded assertion that assigned male at birth have more advantages than other people. However, the order impacts a surprisingly small number of athletes, fewer than 160 of the 8 million students across the country. Now, many critiques argue this executive order distracts from more pressing and urgent issues going on in the world right now. Among these concerns are access to reproductive and gender-affirming healthcare, both of which are all being of transgender people. In the part of the U.S., transgender individuals, especially transgenders, face significant barriers to access gender-affirming care, which includes hormone therapy, counseling, surgeries. These services are vital for their mental health and physical health. Now, with all of that being said, a lot of the aftermath of this faces 4% of federal funding. The San Francisco Foundation emphasizes these orders to the trans and non-binary individuals. And this just can negatively affect a lot of that part of the community. Another big one that I did my report on, which also affects a lot of people in my life and everything else, is in January 2025, the U.S. Department of Justice sent a letter of findings to state of Idaho, Title II of the American Disabilities Act, ADA, by unnecessarily segregating adults with physical disabilities in nursing facilities. Now, this means state practices consist with principle of interrogation, which mandates that individuals with disabilities that can live and receive services in the most integrated setting appropriate to their needs. This also just really affects a lot of people, not even yet old, but younger people with certain disabilities that have to be in rehab places like that. And the aftermath of that, changes to ensure individuals with disabilities have the right to live in interrogating settings of their choice. More things that make it easier for them to live, access health care, access mental health care, just basic quality of life. The case highlighted ongoing challenges of implementing the ADA mandates for community integration and the importance of providing appropriate services and supports to prevent unnecessarily institutionalized. Now, long-term outcomes of the transgender athletes, the executive order of legal battles, especially organizations like Lambda Legal and the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, these groups argue that the order violated constitutional rights, that discrimination under the Title III, which prohibits sex-based discrimination in education. Public advocacy and legislative efforts in response to this, advocacy groups launched campaigns to protect the rights of transgender athletes. These efforts aimed for reverse of the policy to ensure equal opportunities for transgender youth in sports. States such as California have worked on passing laws to protect the transgender athletes. And like I had said in the beginning, a lot of this not necessarily has to do with transgender athletes. It's the more aspect of it all around, the things that are starting to come into place. The broader societal impact, the issue has become a focal point in the broader conversation about transgender rights, especially to education, healthcare, public accommodation. It has resulted in greater national awareness about challenges faced by these transgender individuals, including sports, youth groups, equality of everything. This case is very ongoing, impactful, and will depend on future legal decisions and potential policy changes in the federal levels. Now, long-term outcomes of discrimination against people with disability. The Department of Justice letter of findings have promoted ongoing advocacy form of organization like the National Disability Rights Network and other disability rights groups. They have pushed for reforms of how states fund and manage services for people with disabilities, emphasizing importance on accessible housing, employment opportunities, and community integrations. Now, I know a lot of people and a lot of organizations say that they give jobs to people with disabilities, like Goodwill and a lot of other nonprofit organizations. And one of these issues has to talk about like how much longer these will be available. Will these still continue? And it just really has put a mental health effect on a lot of these individuals, worrying if they will still get the same accommodations. Several states have taken steps towards inclusive policies and services for individuals with disabilities in response to their findings. As of now, the long-term effects are still unfolding, but there is a significant push for systematic change that would allow individuals with disabilities to live more independently and avoid unnecessary changes. This case set a precedent for future and policy shift changes across the country. The way that LGBTQ individuals in behavioral health settings, it can definitely have a lack of understanding of the LGBTQ needs. Many health professionals may not be trained to understand unique mental health challenges faced by these LGBTQ individuals, such as stigma, discrimination, family rejection, homophobia, transphobia. The lack of understanding could be led to misdiagnosis, some insensitivity, or dismissive attitudes. Now, a lot of times it has become more open. A lot of more therapists know how to react to these certain situations, as it would have not been the same a couple years ago. And that's why we're trying to make sure that people are educated, informed of all this stuff, so they'll be able to more understand. They'll be less ignorant to these issues. Harmful treatment approaches if behavioral health settings don't know exactly what they're doing. Therapists who are not well versed in these issues might apply outdated, harmful treatment, like I said, of treatment plans that were put in place years prior, before a lot of these things have become a mainstream issue. When these health organizations lack the knowledge of awareness, it can lead to just a lot of uncomfortability, inappropriate treatment recommendations, and it's just overall not well-being of the LGBTQ plus community. What can be done to avoid this kind of discrimination? Definitely seek training more in the LGBTQ culture, competence, gender identity, sexual orientation, and related to mental health issues. And a lot of ways that we can do that, therapists can do that, keep up workshops, certifications, read different journal articles, and really just try to not be so ignorant on these things. Use affirmative therapy. Therapists can adopt affirmative therapy approaches which affirm a client's sexual orientation and gender identity and provide a safe environment. And stuff like that could be small by just using their same pronouns, listening, even asking more questions so you're able to better understand. People with physical disabilities in behavioral health settings, a lot of stereotyping. There is a risk that therapists may stereotype individuals with physical disabilities as being unable to lead fulfilling and independent lives. A lot of times, too, there are wheelchair users that are able to walk, but it's better quality of life for them. They may have POTS or stuff like that where they're not able to stand as much, or just need a little extra help. And a lot of people that see that in public just think that all wheelchair users are paraplegic, and that's not necessarily true. A therapist must not assume that someone's disability is a depressed because of their disability rather than exploring other potential contributing factors to their mental health. With all of that being said, my biggest thing that I found in this while doing this research is definitely keep up to date with workshops, and a lot of things are going on around in this world that some people choose not to see. And I think it's very important that we take a look at all of these, and especially if we have friends and families in these types of situations, I think it'll better help us become better therapists and better healthcare workers. Thank you.